Throughout history, humanity has always looked to the skies, driven by an insatiable desire to push the boundaries of what's possible. There are moments in history when we reach for the impossible, and sometimes, against all odds, we succeed in spectacular fashion. These achievements become symbols of progress, testaments to our ingenuity and determination. The Concorde was such a success, a marvel of engineering and a testament to international collaboration. It wasn't just an airplane, it was a statement. A supersonic jet, born from international collaboration between Britain and France, that redefined air travel and captured the imagination of the world. It represented a bold vision of the future, where distance was no longer a barrier. With its sharply pointed nose, which could droop downwards for better visibility during takeoff and landing, and its elegant delta wings, it looked less like a conventional aircraft and more like something that belonged to the future, a sleek and futuristic dart piercing the sky. For nearly 3 decades, Concorde was the ultimate symbol of speed, luxury, and exclusivity. Flying on the Concorde was an experience reserved for the elite. It crossed the Atlantic in under 4 hours, cutting travel time in half and shrinking the world for those who could afford it. Flying so high, at altitudes exceeding 60,000 feet, passengers could see the curvature of the Earth, a privilege usually reserved for astronauts. Only the wealthy and powerful, celebrities and business tycoons could afford a ticket, making it a symbol of status and success. But even for those who couldn't fly on it, the world watched in awe as it soared through the sky, a testament to human achievement. Its 4 powerful Rolls-Royce/Snecma Olympus 593 engines, each producing over 38,000 pounds of thrust, were engineering marvels in their own right. These engines propelled the Concorde to speeds exceeding Mach 2, more than twice the speed of sound, making breaking the sound barrier routine. The drooping nose, a unique feature that allowed pilots to see the runway during landing. The slender fuselage, designed to minimize drag at supersonic speeds, every detail of the Concorde, from its engines to its airframe, was iconic and meticulously crafted. For 27 years, Concorde's operational history was marked by remarkable success, and its safety record was nearly flawless, a testament to the rigorous engineering and maintenance that went into keeping it flying. But even the greatest achievements, the most meticulously engineered machines, are ultimately fragile and vulnerable. The same fundamental principles of physics that allowed Concorde to soar through the stratosphere with such grace and speed could also, under unforeseen circumstances, bring it down, highlighting the inherent risks of aviation. The story of Concorde is one of incredible triumph, a symbol of human ingenuity and international collaboration, but also one of profound tragedy. It's a stark reminder that even a seemingly small overlooked detail, a minor flaw, or an unfortunate coincidence can have catastrophic consequences and change the course of history. And that's exactly what happened on a seemingly ordinary summer day in Paris, a day that would forever alter the legacy of the Concorde. July 25, 2000, Charles de Gaulle Airport, Paris. Air France Concorde FBTSC was preparing for Flight 4590, a charter to New York. On board 100 excited passengers, mostly German tourists, bound for a Caribbean cruise. The experienced crew, led by Captain Christian Marty, ran through their checks. Everything was routine. The aircraft was fueled, loaded and ready. The weather was clear, the mood anticipation. But fate was already at work. Minutes earlier, a Continental DC-10 had taken off from the same runway. As it climbed, a small strip of metal, just 16 inches long, fell from its engine. It landed unnoticed on the runway. The Concorde's crew had no idea it was there. The airport staff, busy with preparations, missed it too. Sometimes, catastrophe begins with something almost invisible. As Flight 4590 prepared for takeoff, the stage was set. The metal strip waited. Runways must be spotless. They are the launch pad for dreams and the stage for incredible feats of engineering. But any debris, no matter how small, can be deadly. A bolt, a piece of metal, even a discarded tool can become a catastrophic hazard. On this day, A delayed inspection meant a critical lapse in safety. The routine check, designed to catch these dangers, was pushed back. As a result, the runway wasn't checked before Concorde's scheduled departure. The supersonic jet, a symbol of speed and innovation, was unknowingly heading into danger. A seemingly insignificant titanium strip, lost from a DC-10, lay hidden on the runway's surface, waiting, cleared for takeoff. The pilots received the go-ahead, unaware of the peril that lay ahead. Concorde's engines thundered, a symphony of raw power, as it began its acceleration down the runway. The Rolls-Royce Olympus engines roared, pushing the aircraft towards its destiny. The jet raced down the runway, gaining speed with each passing second. The air crackled with anticipation, 100, 150, 200 miles per hour. The ground blurred beneath the wheels. Suddenly, the front left tire struck the metal strip. A sharp impact, unnoticed in the cockpit, but with devastating consequences. The tire exploded. A violent burst of energy ripped through the rubber, sending a chunk of rubber hurtling into the wing at tremendous speed. A projectile launched by unforeseen circumstances. The impact didn't break the wing, not immediately. The Concorde's robust design offered a degree of protection, but it sent a shockwave through the structure, a ripple effect of destruction spreading through the aircraft's vital systems. In seconds, a chain reaction began, an unstoppable cascade of failures triggered by that single, fateful impact. The crew, focused on their instruments and the critical task of takeoff, had no immediate warning of the unfolding disaster. The White Bird was airborne, soaring into the sky, seemingly triumphant. But something was terribly wrong. An invisible wound had been inflicted, and the aircraft was mortally wounded. A small piece of metal, a forgotten remnant, had set disaster in motion, triggering a sequence of events that would end in tragedy. The unseen storm was about to break, unleashing its fury on the unsuspecting aircraft and its passengers. In aviation, the smallest oversight, the most minor negligence, can have the gravest consequences, leading to unimaginable loss and devastation. On this runway, the cost would be unimaginable, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of vigilance. The Concorde's fate was sealed in an instant, a victim of circumstance and a testament to the unforgiving nature of aviation. The initial tire burst on the runway sent debris flying, a seemingly minor event that would cascade into unimaginable disaster. The force of the impact, though small, created a shockwave, a ripple effect of destruction that would soon engulf the Concorde. This shockwave, traveling at incredible speed, struck the left wing with devastating consequences. It ruptured a fuel tank in the left wing, tearing through the protective layers and exposing the highly flammable jet fuel within. The puncture was significant. Hundreds of gallons of fuel poured out, a torrent of highly volatile liquid cascading from the damaged wing. The fuel streamed backward, creating a dangerous and expanding cloud of vapor. The inevitable happened. The fuel, now atomized and highly flammable, met an ignition source, possibly from the engine's exhaust or a spark. It ignited instantly, transforming the fuel leak into a raging inferno. Flames erupted behind the wing, a terrifying spectacle of fire and smoke engulfing the left side of the aircraft. The intense heat began to weaken the wing's structure, threatening the Concorde's ability to fly. Inside the cockpit, chaos began to unfold. Alarms blared in the cockpit, a cacophony of warning sounds signaling the catastrophic situation unfolding outside. Red lights flashed, indicating engine failures and critical system malfunctions. The flames, now feeding on the leaking fuel, began to starve the engines of oxygen. Both left engines began to fail, their power output plummeting as the fire intensified. The Concorde's speed began to decrease dangerously. The Concorde had just passed V1, the critical decision speed. V1, the point of no return, meant that the takeoff had to continue, even with the unfolding emergency. Aborting at this speed would have been even more dangerous. Captain Marty, faced with an impossible situation, pulled back, making the only choice he could. He lifted the burning jet into the air, hoping against hope to gain enough altitude to assess the damage and attempt a return to the airport. A trail of fire followed, a terrifying banner of destruction marking the Concorde's desperate struggle for survival. The crew, highly trained and experienced, fought to control the crippled plane, battling against the odds to keep the aircraft aloft and find a way to bring it back to the ground safely. Air traffic control, witnessing the unfolding disaster, radioed, "You have flames behind you," a stark and chilling confirmation of the crew's worst fears. The crew responded, calm but strained, their voices betraying the immense pressure they were under. They were trying to shut down engines, hoping to isolate the fire and regain some control over the aircraft's failing systems. Their focus was to manage the fire, to extinguish the flames that were rapidly consuming the Concorde. The aircraft struggled to climb, its ascent labored and slow. It was losing power, the engines unable to provide the thrust needed to maintain altitude and speed. And speed, the airspeed indicator, dropping dangerously close to the stall speed. For 16 seconds, an eternity in aviation terms, the pilots battled to keep the jet airborne, fighting against the relentless forces of fire and mechanical failure. They aimed for an emergency landing at Le Bourget Airport, their only hope for saving the aircraft and its passengers. But the fire was relentless, consuming everything in its path and growing more intense with each passing second. The intense heat was melting the wing's structure, weakening the metal and compromising its integrity. The controls grew sluggish. The aircraft was becoming increasingly difficult to handle. The Concorde was losing the fight, its systems failing and its structure weakening under the relentless assault of the fire. The battle for survival was nearly over, the outcome inevitable. The dream of supersonic flight was about to turn into a nightmare. With both left engines failing and the wing burning, Concorde began to bank sharply. The fire had destroyed the hydraulics. The pilots could barely steer. The crew's desperate efforts are captured on the flight recorder. The jet's speed dropped dangerously low. Lift was lost. The left wing, weakened and powerless, dropped. The aircraft entered a steep, uncontrolled bank. From the ground, it was clear. A crash was inevitable. The flight lasted less than 2 minutes. Concorde, trailing fire and smoke, descended toward Gonesse. It crashed into a hotel, exploding in a massive fireball. All 109 on board perished instantly. 4 more died on the ground. The fire raged for hours, but nothing could be saved. The Concorde's perfect safety record was shattered. The era of supersonic travel would never be the same. In the aftermath, shock and grief swept across the world. Investigators from the BEA arrived to uncover the cause. The black boxes were recovered, revealing the crew's final moments. Every piece of wreckage was collected and examined. On the runway, they found the shredded tire and the metal strip. It was a non-standard part traced to the Continental DC-10. The chain of events was becoming clear. Disaster had started before Concorde even left the ground. The tragedy was not just technical, it was deeply human, with families left to mourn an unimaginable loss. The BEA's investigation confirmed the sequence. The metal strip triggered a tire explosion, which ruptured the fuel tank and ignited a fire. The fire destroyed the engines and wing controls in seconds. The report also revealed a history of tire incidents on Concorde, none fatal, but all warning signs. The design placed fuel tanks dangerously close to the landing gear. Legal battles followed, but the verdict was clear. The crash wouldn't have happened without the metal strip. But Concorde's vulnerabilities played a role. The tragedy forced the industry to confront uncomfortable truths. Sometimes disaster is the result of many small failures, not just one. The crash grounded all Concordes. The public's trust was shattered. The icon of speed was now a symbol of risk. Engineers raced to add Kevlar linings, better wiring, and stronger tires. After a year, Concorde returned to service, but the world had changed. The post-9/11 downturn and high operating costs made Concorde unsustainable. Passenger numbers dwindled. The business case vanished. In 2003, Air France and British Airways announced Concorde's retirement. The last flight landed in October, ending an era. The remaining jets became museum pieces, silent reminders of a vanished dream. Supersonic passenger travel faded into history. The story of Flight 4590 is a sobering lesson in aviation. It showed how a single small failure can trigger catastrophe. Airports worldwide improved runway inspections and debris control. The chain of events model became central to accident investigations. Concorde remains an icon proof that supersonic travel is possible, but also a cautionary tale. Its retirement marked the end of an era. Air travel slowed for the first time in history. The tragedy forced designers to rethink safety, especially around fuel tanks and wiring. Lessons from Gaulle are now built into every modern jet. The sacrifice of those aboard was not in vain. Today, Concorde stands as a beautiful ghost, a reminder of ambition, risk, and loss. Progress is never easy, and sometimes it comes at a terrible price. As we reach for the stars, the memory of Flight 4590 reminds us to proceed with humility and care.